years ago, I shot what became the top 6 wrestling tapes of all time. More copies were sold than any other. 15 years ago, I pulled them off the market due to the technological advances in video production. Today, I'm happy to say they've been digitally remastered with additional footage to reflect the changes of our ever-evolving sport, the world's oldest and greatest sport, wrestling. What you're about to see is the Coach Schalles of today interacting with the Wade Schalles of yesterday in an attempt to help the wrestlers of tomorrow. I hope you enjoy both of me. Welcome to Legal Pain.
To achieve success in wrestling, you must have security in knowing that you're in top physical condition, you have confidence in your technical skills, and a hunger to compete, a need to perform. Being strong in one or two of these areas can compensate for weaknesses in another. I've found that champions always excel in at least one of these areas. In this tape, we are going to concentrate on improving one of the most important technical skills a wrestler can develop, the ability to pin people. But before we go into that aspect of the sport, let's look more closely at conditioning. There is only one way to get into shape, plain and simple hard work. Footballers get into shape for football by playing football. The best way to get in shape for wrestling is by actually suiting up and wrestling. You should wrestle as long as you can, stop for a short recovery period, then wrestle some more. The best way for wrestlers to lose weight is by increasing their daily workload and decreasing the amount of calories they consume. This, by contrast, is the best way you increase your level of conditioning. The more you increase the time you spend wrestling and decrease the rest periods between, the greater your level of conditioning becomes. Supplementary forms of conditioning should include daily running routine, varying your distances, depending upon what is to be achieved. Short and middle distance sprints increase the amount of energy you have per match, or more commonly known as actual bout conditioning. The longer distances, say 3, 4, or 5 miles, help increase your long-term cardiorespiratory efficiency. In simpler terms, it gives you the ability to be as physically efficient and mentally alert in the last bout of the day as you were in the first bout. Various forms of calisthenics should also be incorporated into a daily workout. Each calisthenic should be designed to increase your heart rate while creating muscle fatigue. Jumping rope is an excellent form of calisthenics, as is 4-man push-ups. Weightlifting is another form of conditioning that will also add to your total worth as a wrestler. The best program you can follow in lifting is one that simply makes you work hard and work often. When you're not in season, lifting should be done 3 times a week and be designed to increase strength. During season, your lifting schedule should shift to twice a week and concentrate on maintaining the strength and power you achieve during the off-season. This can be accomplished by decreasing the weight and increasing your number of repetitions per set. The more strength you develop, the more it contributes to your overall level of confidence and proportionally improves your technique. But remember, no matter what you're doing to improve yourself as a wrestler, quality is always better than quantity. It is much better to wrestle with intensity for an hour than to wrestle for 2 hours without it. Combine technical skills with physical conditioning and you have an unbeatable combination. In this tape, I will provide you with the essential technique necessary to improve your pinning ability and make you the winner you know you can be. Spend time watching each move, analyze each position, and study all the individual components that make this technique the best in the field today. Let's now go to the wrestling room. Let's take a closer look at pinning and a great way to teach the technique. As you can see, we have taken a starting circle, which is standard on most wrestling mats, and painted a clock's face around the perimeter. During today's instruction, and when related to a match situation, we teach that your opponent's head always points at 12 and his feet at 6. This simplifies commands and makes it easier to understand. After your team picks up this principle, you could shorten it again and just say 1 o'clock. That's in accord with a philosophy that I've had for a long time in coaching. Always hold the verbal commands you give your athletes to 2 or less words. Don't confuse them. It's easier to say and understand pin 'em than it is to go into a lengthy explanation of what you want. Basically, keep it simple.
What we're going to do now is spend a little bit more time talking about the clock and how that works for you, the wrestler. The idea we showed you earlier is the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and how that works. Now, to spend a little more time with that, I think it's really important that we clarify the positions and how to knock a guy down. When I'm down here, my head is always pointing to 12. If I'm laying this way, 12 o'clock is here. Over here, wherever my head's pointing is 12 o'clock. So my goal here is to teach our athletes how to work from the down position. All right, 12 o'clock. Now I have 4 appendages, 2 arms, 2 legs. Each one of those 4 appendages are responsible for 3 hours on the clock. My left arm is responsible anytime between 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock. My right arm is from 12 o'clock to 3, leg 3 to 6, 6 to 9. So I have all 12 hours of the clock covered with the 4 appendages that I have. And they're the ones we want to spend time on. Knocking a guy down, breaking it down from the top position when you're riding, turning him over when you're pinning. How do you reverse a guy when you're on the bottom? If you understand the clock, you can be a much better wrestler very quickly. Okay, what I'm going to ask my young assistant to come in here to get the referee's position. All right, now, since we're responsible for 3 hours on the clock, each one of the 4 appendages, let's do a real quick quiz. If I control my opponent's left arm and I pull it in on a cross face, I'm now controlling one appendage, the left arm. The left arm is responsible for what 3 hours on the clock we just talked about? 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So halfway between, we always want to drive our opponent halfway between the hours that we have control. So 9 o'clock's over here, 12 o'clock's up here. If I have his left arm, which controls those 3 hours, I want to drive halfway between those 2 hours. Between 9 and 12 is 10:30. So all my driving, if he's to fall over, I have to drive him at 10:30, and if I drive at 10:30 up this way, then he will not only go down, but he'll go to his back. If I were to drive him out, you say, well, you're controlling the left elbow. If I drive him out at 9 o'clock and his left arm is responsible for 9 o'clock, will he fall over? Well, let's see. So since I have my arm here and I start to drive into him, what else is responsible for 9 o'clock? So if you remember what I showed you earlier, there are 4 hours on the clock, 12, 3, 6, and 9, that are responsible for 2 appendages. 9 o'clock, my left leg, left arm is responsible for 9 o'clock. 12 o'clock, left arm, right arm, and so on around. So if I'm to take a crossface here and I'm going to drive into him, if I drive at 9 o'clock, sure I got 9 o'clock control here, but I don't have this 9 o'clock control. Because I have 2 appendages at 9 o'clock, I can't get him over driving him at 9 o'clock. If I shift my body an hour and a half that way, now I can drive him up at 10:30. He can have that foot out at 9 o'clock, and that doesn't help him at all. And over he'll go. So we want to drive halfway between the hours we have control. Now, if this was to be used as a quiz for you viewing group, quiz here, if I control left ankle and left elbow, how many hours of the clock do I have control now? 6. I'm controlling 6 to 9, 9 to 12. So I have from 6 to 12 controlled. What time should I drive him in order to get him down? Halfway between 6 and 12, 9 o'clock, that's the way he's going to go. And the same thing goes, he'll go to his back. So we go halfway between the things that we have control. Now let's take the same concept and see how it works in the down position. If I'm doing a side roll as an example, I'm reaching up, controlling my opponent's right arm. Controlling his right arm is responsible for the hours of 12 to 3. So I want to go halfway between 12 and 3, or 1:30. If I roll him at 1:30, he's going over. Most people think of a side roll as doing just what the words say. Roll to your side. You don't roll to your side on a side roll. If I control his right arm, that's his 12 to 3 arm, and I start rolling to my side, that's 9 or 3 o'clock. He still has a right leg here that's responsible for 3 o'clock. So if I start rolling that way, he's going to get that right foot out there. I'm not going to get him over because he has his body over here at 3. He'll get his right leg out as a brace and stop me. I'm controlling the right arm. I go halfway between 12 and 3, 1:30. So a side roll here, I'm not going to my side on a side roll. Wrist control, I'm going down to my shoulder, going out at 1:30. As I go out at 1:30, he'll go over, and then I'll be in a position to finish the move. So when you think about clock, when you think about wrestling, the idea is to move your opponent depending upon what you have control of him. If I have him in the down position on his belly, and he's there, and I say half Nelson, which we'll get into later, spending more time on half Nelsons, how do I drive the guy over? Well, it depends upon what I have control. If I have a regular half, and I'm able to have a hold of his arm here, I have his right arm. If I can pull his right arm in, his right arm is responsible between 12 and 3. What time do I drive at? 1:30. If I drive out at 3 o'clock, like most kids will learn when they first try this, you won't turn the guy over. Control the arm, half Nelson. You drive up at 1:30, not at 3 o'clock. Depending upon what appendages are trapped, what you have control is the angle of the clock that you go at. It's relatively simple to understand, but once you get it down, you'll learn a lot about wrestling. You'll be able to make moves up that coach didn't show you just by the common principles of the clock and controlling the different appendages. One of the things I wanted to cover on this clock, it's very important when you have the high-level wrestler. If you're just the first year, second year, third year wrestler, just master the idea of 9-3, 12, and 6. Get the idea of controlling an arm, taking him over. But as you get more intense and you get more experience and ability into the sport, what you have to learn is each appendage, when you're wrestling a good wrestler, is good for 5 hours on the clock, even though I said 3 earlier. It's really 5 if he's a talented wrestler. His left arm is responsible really for 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 1. He can take an hour on either side of that 9 to 12 shot. So they have a little more flexibility, a little more kinesthetic sense when they wrestle, so they can go 5 hours. So when I say drive at 10:30, I mean 10:30. I don't mean 10 o'clock, I don't mean 11 o'clock, I mean 10:30, darn it. The idea is we want to eliminate the problems that you'll have with athletes and being able to put their hand out as a brace and stop them from taking him over. So when we have a cross-facing example, again, I'm controlling his left arm. If I start driving him up here, he can, if he wanted to, he can take his leg at 8 o'clock, he can move it at 9, or he might even be able to get it up at 10 o'clock. Again, covering a wider spectrum. And when he gets up here at 10 o'clock, then I've got to get him out here at 10:30. If I drive at 10, 9, 8, I'm not getting him over. So again, when I'm up here, I'm going to find out where 10:30 is in my mind's eye, and I'm taking him that way, and I'm taking him with a little bit of the discomfort. Arms coming in, driving in the body, but I'm taking him up at 10:30, and he'll go over that leg. But you have to watch that. Let me do it for a minute here. Again, when I'm down here with my left arm, I can cover 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12, and I can even reach over and protect myself if I'm getting turned over to half Nelson at 1. So a good wrestler is good for 5 hours on the clock for each one of his 4 appendages. So when we get down and figure out the direction we want to take a guy, make sure you understand where 10:30 is, make sure you understand where 1:30 is. They are the key hours when you're driving a guy up at half Nelsons, headlocks, cradles. We can also take a guy back. One more shot from here, and a typical breakdown, we have chop tight waist. If I'm chopping the near arm, okay, I've chopped his right arm is responsible for what? 12 to 3. So as I'm chopping him down, I want to take him at 1:30. Kids get in trouble on chops, they get lazy. They start pulling the guy into his lap and they end up getting switched when they pull him down here because they're taking him out at 3 o'clock. On a chop tight waist, you never go 3 o'clock. You take him up at 1:30. And I'm helping him a little boot in the backside here. Okay, quiz for everybody watching here. Let's see if you can come up with the answer on this. Real quick, I'm going to grab a body part and you tell me what time I should drive, talking down. Okay, reach under forearm, fore ankle, far knee. What time should I take him at? Control his left leg, 6 to 9, halfway between. Okay, 7:30. 7:30 takes him down. You drive any other time, he's not going to get down. So depending upon the appendage, you now know what you do to break a guy down.
To pin the better opponents you'll meet each year, there's one concept to remember. You must create discomfort, and a large amount of it. As long as your opponent is thinking about wrestling, he'll fight to keep at least one shoulder blade off the mat. Your job is to create a diversion from this thought. Instead of him thinking, I can't get pinned, my coach will kill me, he's thinking of the discomfort he's feeling and forgets about his shoulders. Let's assume for a minute we already have our opponent on his back. We must do one of 4 things in order to pin him. We must either pick his head up, putting his shoulder blades down, can be done with a half Nelson, or pick the other end of the body up, the legs, such as in a stack situation, or, if neither of those are available, when he's on his back, having a reverse half, bottom arm, right arm, pick it up, left shoulder comes down. If he's on his other side, on the left side, pick up the left arm, puts the right shoulder down. Now, once we've achieved one of those 4, 2 would be better, 3 would be great. Once we've achieved those, we must have a couple basic principles to follow. 1, chest on chest. We must put as much weight of my body onto his chest as possible. Slows down his breathing. When his body doesn't get as much oxygen as it needs, the will to win will decrease and his shoulders will get down. So we have a chest on chest situation. In order to get more weight there, we get up off our knees, more weight onto him.
You know, the youngster's right. There are principles to pinning, and there are 3 of them. Jump on your back here real quick. Right in the back. There you go. And when you're talking about pinning here, when I was 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I think I did that tape. When I did that, I had a couple things not quite exactly as I would want them to be, and I'm going to correct them right now. We talk about what are the 3 basic principles of pinning. Right angle, weight off our knees, chest on chest. 2 of those 3 are incorrect. That's a pregnant pause, so you can try to figure out and say, what? 2 of those 3 are incorrect. Chest on chest, it's incorrect. Chest on chest is very good. Chest on face is much better. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, you'll like it. Chest on chest is good, chest on face is better. Right angle is also wrong. Right angle's okay, it's very good, but a little bit past the right angle, instead of 90 degrees, if you can go up a little further to the right, closer to his head, breaking that 90 by 10 or 15 degrees, it's even a stronger pinning combination. And that leaves one thing, and that's one that's still the one that's always right. Get your weight off your knees, spread your legs. That shifts the weight onto his chest. So we now, chest on chest is good, chest on face is better. As an example, this is pretty good if I put all my weight right here on his chest. He loves me for this. But if I would move about 5 inches to the right and I'd put all my weight up here, wouldn't that get his attention a little bit more? So the idea is to shift your weight up on his face versus his chest. So you're smiling at that end, okay, I understand. It's kind of fun to watch too and be part of. So the idea is right angle, well, not right angle, a little past the right angle. Chest on chest, nah, chest on face. And we do want to get our weight off our knees. Now, I talked about a moment ago about a chin twist pick. When we did this, that last tape that you just saw in the early 1980s, grabbing the chin, twisting to the side was perfectly legal. Today the referee's a little bit more touchier with that. So we can still do that to some extent depending upon the county, state, and region of the country you're located in. Some are a little more apt to call it potentially dangerous than others. When we reach around, we get the chin here. The idea is to get the chin, we pull it slowly. We're not trying to rip it. We just slowly ease it over to the side. Slowly ease it over. I'm not trying to create discomfort at all. Right now he's perfectly fine. But when I pick my elbow up is where the discomfort comes in and the leg goes up. Usually when you do a good job, the leg just raises up like his just did a minute ago. So you can do a chin twist pick. Some areas, some not. But if a referee, they usually like a rattlesnake, they'll go, you get the old tail shaking, and they'll go, watch chin. And that's the same as a rattlesnake rattling his tail. So when you hear the referee say, watch your chin, he's saying, let go of the chin. You better adjust to it. Because you have him already on his back, you don't want the referee blowing the whistle, so potentially dangerous, told you son, and he gets off his back. You only get a good guy on his back once, and when you get him there, you want to make sure you bury him. So if the referee warns you, let go of the chin, and readjust it to something else. I readjust it to a head wrap half. It's something that over the years we've gone from that chin twist pick a little bit to a head wrap. Just the fact it does the same thing, just looks a little differently. So how do we get into this? And I want you to practice at home from this way. Now you never get into the hold this way, but it's the easiest way to get a feel for this. Let's have him lay down here. I'm going to lay down next to him. I'm going to let him use my bicep as a pillow. So he's going to lay here. He's going to have his head down on my bicep. This is how you learn your head wrap half. And then you know what a karate chop is? You're karate chopping. But that's what it looks like we're doing. We're going to do a reverse karate chop. We're going to take our thumb here, and I'm going to karate chop his throat. Now that sounds like it's really nasty and aggressive, and I don't want to do that. But the idea is to come up here and have my hand come across his throat. Are you okay? Am I choking you? No, I'm not touching his throat at all. It just looks like it is. Okay, so I'm coming. How far can I get my hand up this way? I'll pull my thumb. I want my hand to come up here as far as I can get it. Now I'm going to pretend his chest is a piece of bread, my chest is a piece of bread, my hand's peanut butter and jelly, and I'm making a sandwich with this. I'm going to do a reverse karate chop to here, and now I'm going to come up on top, and I'm going to complete the sandwich. Here's the peanut butter jelly, piece of bread. I arch up, over top, and when I come down on top of that hand, that pinches the hand down, and that makes sure it doesn't come up. See his legs start to move? You can't hear that on the camera, but I heard about 5 vertebrae going pop, pop, pop in his neck right now, and he's hoping I'm going to get off him real soon, because he's not breathing real well. And he gets up and goes, ugh. Okay? When you reach up and you practice it, he goes, that means you did it really well. When he goes, that means you did it really, really well. When he gets up. So the idea is on head wrap half. Lay on your back, bicep, reverse karate chop, and then come on over top. And when you get that, that gets to be a really tight half Nelson. So from a regular half position here, when you get this in, and we'll come back with more half Nelsons and go into this head wrap once again. From here, as he's coming, I'm wrapping my arm, instead of grabbing the chin, twist and pick, like we've taught before, and you might still be able to do and like it. I'll wrap my hand the whole way around. Now, I'm going to get off of it here just to show you where my hand's going. My hand's coming the whole way across. My hand comes up, you can see it's coming up. So from here, up, wrap it as tight as you can, and then lay on it. This gets it really, really tight. And now when he starts thinking about legal discomfort is when he stops thinking about thou shalt not be pinned, the 11th commandment, and he starts thinking about help. When he gets into the help thought process, he'll lay his own shoulders down because he'll stop thinking about his shoulders. He doesn't care his mother's up in the stands or his girlfriend's over here, and he's on his back or he's going to lose 16 points. No longer thinking about pinning, he's thinking about help. And at that point, the shoulders will go down. That's legal discomfort. That's what we're going to try to create. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go into one more phase here, and then we're going to get back into a whole bunch of technique. I'm going to let that youngster show you some more wrestling. Before we get there, let's pretend for a second here. You sit up, and I'm going to pretend that he's a tree. We're going to come up, stand up, please. You're a tree, a big pine tree, and I'm going to chop here. There you go. There, now we have a tree. Chop, chop, chop. He's a tree. Timber! He's gonna fall. He falls down. I'll pull him back here in a second. So he lays down, he has his legs together, he has his arms out. He is a tree. When you're a tree, what telephone poles are made of are trees. The object is, when a tree falls down, you cannot roll the tree left or right because the limbs are on it. This is for elementary teaching of wrestling, but at the same time, it's the Olympian who sits down and goes, now I understand. The idea is if I want him to roll over, I gotta chop, 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 saw, saw, saw. I've gotta get rid of one of the limbs. Once I get rid of that limb, and there's no limb over there, that side of the tree is now a telephone pole. That telephone pole will roll. Trees with the limbs don't. Telephone poles do. He will roll to his back. It's very easy to roll a guy over once you get rid of the limbs. So when you're pinning a guy, the bottom guy, when you're down there on the bottom, you want to be a tree. Anything you can do to get your limbs out to the side stops you from rolling over. When you're thinking about what a top man's doing, let's say with a half Nelson, he has a half Nelson on, and I'm trying to drive him out here, he's going, no, I'm not going. He puts his limb out. That's what causes you problems when you wrestle. So he couldn't get the, you can't get him over because the limb's there. You got to get chop, 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 saw, saw, saw. You reach out, grab his wrist, reach under, get his wrist, reach under elbow joint to elbow joint, and pull the arm in. Whatever it takes to get the arm in. If you find out that his biceps are a little bigger than yours, that was my case when I was wrestling when I was younger. I wasn't the biggest guy in my weight class. So when I reached out and grabbed hold of the arm, like Coach said, pull it in, I was going, it wasn't coming in. Once I realized, well, hell, I don't have to learn how to pull it in. What I want to do is, instead of bringing the limb to the tree, I'll take the tree to the limb. Hold the hand still, I use my legs, and I drive him to his hand. Once I slide him over to his hand, the limb comes in. Now he'll roll over. So all your pinning combinations are getting rid of the limbs on the tree. If you are in the down position, underneath, and being pinned, now this isn't, most of this tape's about pinning. Here's a counter, I'm on my back. He's on top of something. Okay, he's at a right angle, where he should be. His weight's off his knees. Okay, now as long as he's here, his limbs here, and his hand here, becomes limbs on my tree, so I can't get off my back. I've got to get rid of the limbs on the tree. When I'm on my back, I want my limbs in, not out. If my limbs are out, I can't roll. I pull my limbs in, and he wants to be a right angle or limbs growing out of my tree trunk. What I want to do is slide around and get my legs back where his legs are. Once I turn my legs around and I start hooking in here, once I get to this position, we're no longer at a right angle, we're parallel to each other. Now it's like two telephone poles tied together. They roll, not well, but they'll roll. When they go the opposite direction, 90 degrees to each other, they don't move at all. So if I want to get off my back, I've got to get my legs back where his are, and from here, now I have a chance to fight and get back to my base. So to get off your back, don't be a tree. If you're on your belly, be a tree. So tree limbs, tree limbs, and you figure out whether you're trying to turn the guy over, or whether you're on your back and you're trying to keep from getting turned over, or you're trying to get off your back. Tree principle's pretty easy to understand for everybody. Tree, limbs, there you go. Let's go back and see what the youngster has to say.
From here, right angle, our body's out to the side. Next thing we want to do is legal pain, creating discomfort. In this situation, as an example with a half Nelson, we have his chin. We want to rotate his head, pick our elbow up, and at the same time create as much discomfort. When his will to win decreases, the shoulder blades will go down. The first base we're going to cover is that of the half Nelson. It is probably the most common and most commonly known of the pinning combinations. There are many ways in which we can end up in this position, and here are just a few. To create discomfort with a simple half Nelson, you must complete two tasks. One, secure the chin and rotate the neck, and two, elevate his head by lifting your elbow. What I'd like to demonstrate right now is a move that we call the 7. It is a simple way of getting into a half Nelson, one I think you'll enjoy doing, and gets the job done. Let's assume that our opponent has taken a shot in a double leg, where you, of course, sprawl. From the sprawl situation, which most of you end up in during the season, we have underhook one arm and we're over the other, or vice, we can come in any combination thereof. The underhook arm comes over, grabs the chin, free hand goes to his right wrist from here. Now you have a choice of either ducking your head underneath his armpit, raising his arm, putting your head under, or get it in under any way you can. Once we do from here, wrist control, chin, duck under the arm. From here, a simple sit out. Sitting out, that puts him onto his back. As we turn, we already have the chin secured. We turn, right angle. I have the chin now twisted and the head picked up.
Or a head wrap half Nelson.
This creates the discomfort we were talking about that will want him to put his shoulders down. Now with chest on chest pressure, lean forward and down. Notice where my right leg is. It's pointing in the same direction as his head. That is designed if this man would be in an opportunity to use his legs to drive himself out of bounds, my right leg will stop him from going in that direction and keep him put and secure the fall. Let's look at this in slow motion. It's important here to notice that my buttocks never touches the mat and the back arching motion of my body during this move. I already have the chin secured. I now twist, pick, and chest pressure for the fall.
Wrestling is so much more than the size of your bicep. It's scientific. It's fun. There's philosophies, there's ideas, there's scientific designs. And I want to show you something that came out of the Severn. In the 1980s, named after Dan Severn, out of Arizona State, Michigan, Ultimate Fighting Championship, came a move called the cement mixer. Cement mixer came into being in the 90s and became very popular. East Coast is now West Coast. We're going to show you that cement mixer right now. Another way of getting a guy on his back. I put on the mat here purposely so you can see it, a white piece of athletic tape. This is trying to show you the positioning of my feet. This is critical in a cement job. If there's one thing that people make a mistake on, it's this. So we're going to spend our time concentrating on this white tape line, and we'll go from there. Now, same thing we did on the Severn. The guy takes a shot, you sprawl. Here's how we've gone through a different cycle of wrestling, a new evolution. Okay, from the Severn to the cement mixer. All right? Your opponent takes a shot at you, you sprawl. Weight off your knees, he's carrying your weight. You go into the front headlock series, or underhook I call this a chancery. That's an East Coast move, I think the name anyhow. But anyhow, you can either go into the arm or take a front headlock, keep your elbow high so you can't sucker drag it. But anyhow, from this position, typically, if you're giving him a little bit of grief around his throat area, what he'll do is he'll take his right arm, he'll reach up and he'll try to clear your hands off his throat. Now, I'm not trying to choke him out here, I'm just trying to get his attention, make him come up and grab my wrist. So as I'm riding here, he reaches up and grabs my wrist. Now I'm going to turn him here, this is not part of the move, but I'm going to turn him just here so you can see he's reached up and grabbed my wrist, and now what I'm going to do is grab his wrist. He grabbed mine, I grabbed his. I like that trade-off. So from the front headlock here, he reaches up, I grab his wrist. Once I have his wrist, I reach underneath the arm, and put my hand on his back here. Up, under, and over. Okay, from here, a ball, circular ball, rolls a lot better than a log. His body can either be a ball, or it can be stretched out in a log. In this case, I want them to be a ball. Balls roll great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push into him, I'm going to back him up into a ball position. Now watch this white line again. Here's where it comes into play. Here's the cement mixer. This is the key. When you have the wrist control here, you reach under the arm, I push into him, get him into a ball, and now, if my feet are straddling this line, I'm 50% on this side, 50% on this side, I got a 50% chance of getting this right. If I bring my legs over to the left side, the right side, and I'm going to roll to the left, I have a 0% chance of getting this move. Here's where you get in trouble. This feels most natural, but it's where you're going to get in trouble. Both of your feet must be to the side you're rolling to. If you're going to roll to your left, both feet have to be to the left of that line. And that line is just split down the middle of the spinal cord here. Okay, so I want to go to my left, his right, because I'm rolling to my left. Here, I reach up, in here gets my wrist, under here, I push him into a ball, I step to that side. I must come to that side of the line before I go. My head goes in the side here, I'm hitting a high bridge, pushing into him, hit a high bridge back, over he goes, and as soon as he hits here, I continue to come up top. Have you seen this position before? Just a little while ago we talked about a head wrap half. Reverse karate chop. We're in that same exact position that we were in before. We're going to do the same thing. Bread, peanut butter jelly sandwich, arch up, over top, and when you have this arm in here, it gets real tight. Now, if you swing around my knees here, there you go. You want to make this really tight. You want to have some fun with this guy. Instead of having this left arm in deep, you pull your arm halfway out and put your elbow right in the center of the solar plexus here. And when I have that tied up, you want to talk about legal discomfort, temporary pain. He thinks he's going to die in this position. So you have the wrist here. When you come out of this, pull your arm out halfway. So all my weight's leaning on my elbow here, and I'm picking his head up. I'm pushing down my elbow, picking up his head. And right now, the last thing he's worried about is getting pinned when you come out of that. So you're a cement mixture. Shot, sprawl, underhook, push him into a ball, get him into a ball, and when you're pushing into him, get your feet to the side you're rolling to. Get your feet to the left of that line if you're rolling to the left. Rolling to the right, get your feet over there. So there you have it, cement chop.